Yeah, here we are in Fremont, California, in a customer's yard, and the project today is blueberries. As you can see here from looking at this, that we got blueberry coming into flower and leaf, but the blueberry is growing in a rather compact mineral clay, which isn't desirable for this plant. Over here we've got another one there in the background. Same situation. Planted directly in the clay, no mulch. We got no organic matter really to speak of. We got a guy that comes around here with a leaf blower, picks up every bit of organic matter once a week. So we have what we'd call an organic deficit here. Even around this little lemon tree, you see that there's almost nothing on the ground. This is just bare dirt. There's a couple of weeds and that's it. Blueberries don't like that. They got really shallow root systems. They're prone to being drought stressed, and so you want to grow your blueberries with a high concentration of compost or bark or leaves, wood chips, any kind of organic debris you can think of around the base of the plants. In this case, we're going to use cocoa bean hulls, and so I have 2 bags of cocoa mulch over there. That's the shell from making chocolate out of cacao. Sitting on top, I've got a nice organic acetic fertilizer. You can kind of read the label right there that says it's for rhododendrons and azaleas. That's the kind of fertilizer that you want when you're feeding blueberries. Do not use mineral acetic fertilizers in general. That's kind of harsh for blueberries and they can't take it very well. I've seen the salts from those fertilizers actually come out in the leaves of the plant, and so use an organic, something that's a slow release, something that's pretty gentle. Okay, now here's Chad, and he's taking the strap hoe. Hey Chad, he's taking the strap hoe to the little bit of annual bluegrass that's growing down around the bottom of these blueberries, being careful not to hit the drip line because they have some drip irrigation on them, which is good. Blueberries like drip irrigation, and so he's going to hoe the grass loose. We're not going to bother to pick it up because we'll just throw our cocoa bean hull mulch right over the top. It'll be the little bit of desperately needed organic matter. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and work some organic fertilizer into the surface of the soil. And since we've broken the ground with the strap hoe, it'll be easier to get that fertilizer incorporated. It's important when you're working with organics that the fertilizer actually come in fairly intimate contact with the soil. Fertilizers have to be in the dark where it's cool, and where it's moist. Otherwise they'll just kind of congeal and become almost useless. So you don't want to throw these organic fertilizers out there where the sun's going to bake them and where the soil microbes and the soil fungi can't get at them. So Chad's pulling about 3 handfuls will be enough on these plants, and he's spreading it out maybe about 6 inches out from the main trunk of the blueberry, and from there out to the drip line. The drip line is the edge of the plant's leaf margin, so that's where the branches and leaves stop. Call that a drip line on a shrub or a tree. And now he's going to go ahead and start depositing cocoa bean hulls all the way around the bottom of the blueberries. Yeah, just go ahead, grab that bag, Chad, throw that stuff down there, and we're going to bury the dead grass. We're going to bury the fertilizer right underneath the cocoa bean hulls. We're going to use up both of the bags I brought here on 3 blueberries we have and 1 lemon tree. So I think we're going to use it on all of them. They can use that. Okay, so there, Chad's pushing the cocoa mulch up near the stem. We don't really want to get it exactly on top of the stem or bury the lower stem of the plant, but we're going to get real close to it. Cocoa bean is a real good mulch for this purpose. What's nice about it is it's acidic, and blueberries like an acid culture, and so this mulch is about a 5.5 pH, puts it in a real good range for the blueberry plant. I'm going to put down plenty of it because actually the blueberries roots eventually will lift up and grow into the bottom of the mulch rather than trying to penetrate that hard clay that they're growing in currently. So you're going to find a whole lot of the roots growing between the mulch where it's decomposing underneath and the top of the soil. The blueberry root system probably doesn't penetrate barely 12 inches in the ground, even in California where it's kind of dry in the summertime. The root is very flat and very wide. I've moved a few old blueberry plants before and got myself a raft of roots about 4 inches deep and maybe as much as 3-4 feet in diameter. They get really broad, but they just don't go down. That's one of the reasons why you want to make sure that you're using a really good mulch around these plants. Because they just don't go down into the soil, and if you're in any place where it might get dry during the summertime, blueberry is going to drought stress and it isn't going to grow properly for you. The other reason we use cocoa bean hull, other than the acidity, is that the cocoa bean hull breaks down real nicely, quickly, much faster than materials like fir bark or redwood bark, and it will become a soil conditioner. So it's going to turn into compost down there in a pretty short order and release its acidity into this soil. The soil in this locality is probably about pH 7. The mulch is about 5.5. If we're real lucky, a few years of applying this mulch around blueberries, we'll probably end up with the pH dropping under 7, somewhere down into the 6 range at least. It's pretty hard to get California soils to be able to cooperate and actually go into the acid range. The blueberries that we have here today are the southern varieties. Mostly looks like sunshine, but we got some misty here, or O'Neill. And those are blueberries that do tolerate slightly less than acidic conditions fairly well. They're pretty durable. I thought we only had 3 blueberry plants on this location, but it looks like there's actually 4 here. Chad found one in the back. It's a real weasel. The problem with it is actually that the plant was originally installed too deep. And so you can see down there that the lower portion of the plant was buried by this clay. That's a bad thing. They begin to rot through at the bottom. I just cut off a whole lot of dead wood on the plant. I'm going to take our chances. I didn't plant this one. We're going to leave it be as it is. Do all the right things and hope that it regrows some new roots a little bit higher on the plant. And we'll take By the way, if you're in western soils, to use these acetic fertilizers, always a good idea out here in the west, because we have a lot of lime in the soil. Soil here in Fremont is marine origin. At one time it was under the ocean and was uplifted, so it's brought with it calcium of all kind of marine organisms. Some places we find fossils of giant oysters and things like that. So we have one lemon tree right here in the middle of the blueberries, and they also like an acid fertilizer, so we're going to apply this azalea food to the lemon tree. And we're going to go ahead and put the remaining cocoa mulch down around the bottom of the tree so that the landscape here looks uniform. That way when the customer comes home and they see that we've added these cocoa bean hulls, we'll have added it to all of the fruiting plants in this particular area. Citrus, again, more tolerant of less than perfect conditions, but they tend to like an acid situation too. I found that soil around citrus trees will gradually acidify, even here in California, if you're not picking up your windfalls. I've got a pH 6.2 underneath my old lemon tree in the yard because of all the spoiled lemons that have dropped over the year. We're getting constant doses of citric acid, and so an acid condition under a citrus tree is a normal thing. So here we are down around the bottom. We got all the blueberries been mulched with cocoa bean hulls. We put down an organic acid fertilizer around them. They should really help things out, and the folks should see much better growth on their blueberries this year. This little cute lemon tree over here, which is starting to bloom a little bit, has also the same acid mulch underneath from the cocoa bean hulls, and a little bit of acid fertilizer around it. It ought to take off quickly now that we're in the first days of spring. So there's what we do with blueberries in the western climate. Have a good garden.